The road has been long, it has been hard, but giving up is not an option in the work that we do, and the struggle must continue.
We had the Windhoek Declaration 10 years later, the African Charter on Broadcasting, and then 10 years later after that, what is a central issue that can substantively change the face of information policy on the continent? And that's where we decided, okay, for World Press Freedom Day 2011, we would put our efforts together around the issue of access to information, because that was the next frontier, that is the next barrier.
For the longest of time, we had come to recognize access to information, or the right to information, as part of the freedom of expression, which in itself was seen as something only relevant to the media. This call to have international recognition of the right to know, the right to information.
We are all very busy with our individual activities as organizations, and we're taking on this other responsibility, working together as a team on a common objective. So sometimes we have that challenge. The other challenge is, how do we effectively represent a continent?
Nous travaillons chacun de son côté sur ces questions-là depuis certains 20 ans, d'autres 30 ans, d'autres plus. Et nous nous sommes rendus compte, après 20 ans de la déclaration de Windhoek, qu'il serait important de regrouper beaucoup d'organisations qui travaillent sur les mêmes questions pour d'abord renforcer notre plaidoyer et renforcer le discours, parce que c'est à plusieurs que nous pouvons faire la différence.
Within a very short space of time, I recall probably about 9 months, this expert working group came together and pulled off one of the most successful conferences on the singular issue in Cape Town on 18th and 19th of September. In the adoption of the APAI declaration, the advocacy strategy that would unfold post that was very clear about its objectives.
The African Platform on Access to Information came up with at least 3 or 4 ways of advancing the bad situation that we were finding ourselves in. One was to develop a comprehensive declaration that would spell out how access to information relates to different sectors of society, but also to the developmental issues that were facing many African countries.
It's not like civil society on one side, government on the other side, and conflicting each other. No. We think it was an issue that is also in the benefit of those who are in leadership. And that's how we were able to make it a very inclusive campaign.
As a result of the advocacy we've done, we've got the African Commission to pass a resolution 222 of 2012, endorsing the declaration, asking the African Union to endorse it and adopt September 28 as African Right to Information Day. In that same resolution, the African Commission has authorized the Special Rapporteur to use the APAI Declaration to elaborate on Article 4 of the Declaration on Freedom of Expression in Africa, which really deals with access to information.
At AU level, my mandate sponsored a resolution urging and requesting the African Union to recognize and designate the 28th of September.
Another advocacy target then was getting the September 28th to be officially recognized by UNESCO. It took literally physically took walking the streets of Paris and physical face-to-face meetings with a range of representatives, country representatives to UNESCO.
You need to meet delegations one-on-one. And we're talking about nearly 200 member states of UNESCO to be engaged. So it's not a small task.
So what keeps us going is because we are optimistic, because we believe that access to information is for development. If it's to allow citizens to really achieve also their goals, and so we don't have, African citizens that are trying to cross, the seas to Europe. Our vision is to make Africa the best place to be.
To see that Africa is able to say we are not lagging behind, we are able to mobilize the world into observing this very important right.
When you live in poverty, for example, your level of access is different from someone that has greater access to resources. And for as long as, your economic situation impacts on your right to access to information, I think that there is an issue to be fought.
I have been tempted to give up, but I don't know. I just feel, coming from a country like Nigeria, which is so rich and yet its people are so poor, that we can't remain that way. We can't let a few dozen people corner the resources of 170 million people. It just doesn't make sense. So something drives you to continue.
See, the impetus that was being created by this movement that had now developed on the continent was such that it also energized the African countries that eventually pushed for the adoption of that resolution within UNESCO. Well, subsequently now, it is officially recognized as the International Day for Universal Access to Information.
And we think by beginning to observe this day, we would be able to bring together youth, adults, pensioners, workers, to all understand that with information, you're able to live a life that is better than that person who doesn't have information.